Good evening, everybody. Just a quick update with the Summer of Chaos. Just kind of wanted to just sort of touch base, remind everyone to stay vigilant. Tonight is the last night of the RNC, the Republican Convention, and I did something tonight that I didn't even think about doing the last few days. I actually was live streaming the convention, and I punched in on YouTube just 2016 RNC riots, and it turns out that there was a group doing a live stream, and they had the police scanners going, and I thought, what a great idea. And so I downloaded an app for a police scanner, and so I could listen to the Cleveland Police, which, by the way, I was thoroughly impressed with their handling of the crowds, and at least from what I could tell from the scanners and the traffic, radio traffic back and forth. They recognized people carrying open carry weapons, and there was no overreaction. They heard a quote explosion, and as it turned out, it was simply apparently there was a show that was setting off fireworks, and so the commanders in charge quickly let the fellas know, hey, it was a test run they're just testing the windage on these fireworks. So that was handled immediately. Chopper saw some fellas on a rooftop, and they actually had, which I was kind of surprised about, but they actually had Cleveland Police had their own snipers on rooftops, which I thought was kind of a pretty good idea. So overall, just from what I heard today, just listening for a few hours to the police scanner, it seemed as though they handled everything with professionalism, and so I'm going to say I was impressed with that. I believe today is the last day of the Republican Convention, so we've got one down with no major incidents, and which is good. Obviously, there was some protests. There was a group that apparently had a doll wrapped up in an American flag, and they were planning on burning it, which I don't know which group that was. I believe the police were calling them anarchists. But something I wanted to mention is that the information that was leaked concerning the Summer of Chaos, in that article or in that report, it did state that the Black Lives Matter movement had 10,000 dissidents ready to protest at the Democratic Convention. So I just wanted to clarify that. In reading through the article, I was under the impression that they were planning on causing civil unrest and civil disturbances at both conventions. But as I recall, at least the subheading or subtitle of the article did mention the Democratic Convention. So we've got one more that we need to stay vigilant for, and I would suggest, if anybody hasn't already thought of it, maybe downloading a police scanner app, so you could actually listen to the police scanners in Philadelphia concerning the convention, which, that's what I plan on doing. I wish I would have thought about it the other day. But having gone through the convention, and the concern for me was that I wasn't hearing any reports of any kind of protests or anything from the mainstream. I was watching the CNN live stream I was watching Fox News live stream. I believe it was MSNBC. So I was watching several of these, which at this point I do want to make a note of something, which is that CNN is just utterly ridiculous when it comes to just how biased they are for the for the Democratic Party. All the hullabaloo that's been raised, or all the ire that's been raised concerning this Melania Trump speech and plagiarizing Mitchell Obama's. Well, okay. So if she did plagiarize it, and I should qualify this by saying that I'm neither a Republican nor a Democrat. I consider myself a constitutionalist. But just the fervor with which CNN was reporting on this speech, and they took it down to the number of words that were the same and the percentage and but I was watching a live stream of CNN, and there was this particular segment they were doing. There was the host, and he had 4 panelists, and they were kind of reviewing events and such, and they highlighted the portion where the delegates all started screaming, "Lock her up," and speaking about Hillary, and they're screaming, "Lock her up, lock her up." Well, the 4 panelists and the host were just beating the hell out of these delegates about how it's disgraceful, and it's over the top, and it's going too far, and it sheds a negative light on the whole Republican Party, and it's not the place for it. And while they're in the middle of their diatribes about these delegates yelling this, the host breaks in, and he's extremely excited. "Oh, we've got breaking news. We've got breaking news. I hate to interrupt, but we've got breaking news. And we're going to go to such and such correspondent over at, and what information do you have for us?" And at this point, I'm expecting to hear there's some kind of, major incident. It turns out that the fucking Trump speechwriter apologized. She wrote a letter of apology. So this is this major breaking news, and the 4 panelists and the host, upon hearing this breaking news, how the speechwriter fucking apologized. Okay, big fucking deal. Well, these panelists and this host, if they had the opportunity, I believe they would have crucified that speechwriter. Oh, she needs to be this, and she should be fired, and she should, and it's like, dude, it's a speech at a convention. Well, they're about ready to crucify the speechwriter for plagiarism, but yet when the delegates are yelling, "Lock her up" about Hillary, then it's going too far. She's a criminal, and we all know it, and she's gotten away with treason, probably the greatest crime any citizen can commit against its own country, and she's gotten away with it. She's being protected. And so I was kind of appalled at the coverage. But I did want to convey to everybody that, we're not quite done yet. The Summer of Chaos and the information that was leaked regarding it, again, it mentioned the Democratic Party convention. And so now we've got another week to stay vigilant and watch for the indicators. Again, I would suggest downloading a police scanner app which I'm certainly going to be paying close attention. And if I hear anything, I'll certainly, try to get it out there. And, I think the other thing to keep in mind is that by this information being leaked, it could have altered their plans for the when and where and how, and so we'll remain vigilant through the Democratic convention. But if nothing happens or nothing occurs at that point, well, then we need to redouble our focus, because I believe they're going to be, the Obama crime family is going to, initiate various other incidents. I heard there was a police captain that was killed in Kansas City. And now another unarmed black man was shot, who was autistic, and his caregiver or mother or aunt or somebody was screaming how the man was laying on the ground with his hands out and he was still shot. And so that's going to be a major incident with police. So again, through the RNC, and as of yet, no major incidents, but to just stay vigilant through the Democratic convention, because even in the correspondence between these Black Lives Matter leadership, they did mention that they can't trust Hillary. So they may very well use the DNC to try to start some commotion and then possibly try to blame the Trump supporters for it. So again, it's just a matter of, at this point, it appears that I'm Chicken Little, which I'm perfectly fine with. I would rather be screaming the sky is falling and nothing happen, and people, be looking up at the sky waiting and nothing happen, than to be Nostradamus and, sit back and not say anything and think to myself afterwards, I was right and didn't say anything. So again, Summer of Chaos, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. And Police Scanner app for the upcoming Democratic convention. And, hopefully, keeping the fingers crossed, we won't see any issues there. But if we don't see anything at the Democratic convention, that's when we need to certainly redouble our focus. So anyhow, thanks for your time, and good evening.